In the land known as Midgard, humans flourished, descendants of Ask and Embla, the first couple shaped by the divinities at the dawn of time. They, despite their mortal origin, enjoyed the constant vigilance and protection of the deities, allowing them to settle and prosper in a land that, though beautiful, was full of challenges. Thor, the brave warrior with mace in hand, was known as the protector of the human domain, fighting the Jotun giants and preventing these invaders from taking over the land of men. Thanks to the vigilance and care of these celestial entities, mankind not only survived but also flourished, building cultures and cities and always making sure to pay tribute to those superior beings through rituals and offerings. The inhabitants of Midgard, forged in resilience, had learned to face the harshest winters, to resist their icy clutches, and to be reborn with spring. But still, in their legends and myths, they knew the warnings that the dominance of the gods had a limit and that one day, the deities of Asgard would have to face a supreme challenge, a battle against evil in the dreaded Ragnarok. As the summer sun faded, Midgard prepared to receive its fruits. The fields promised a bountiful harvest, but fate had other plans. An unusually strong, almost mystical wind swept across the land, followed by early frosts that left the harvest in ruins. Nature was transforming in inexplicable ways, with trees prematurely changing their leaves, heralding a winter that promised to be harsher than any they had ever experienced. Humans, with their indomitable spirit, tried to adapt, stockpiling what little they could. But Fimbulvetr was no ordinary winter. It was the harbinger of dark weather, a winter that would stretch for 3 cycles without a respite of summer. As the nights lengthened and the cold bit harder, despair gripped everyone. Food was scarce, leading to unthinkable decisions, such as consuming their pets and poultry. The struggle for survival did not stop there. Hunger and fear led to internal conflicts. Families turned against each other, and the harmony that once existed vanished into the cold air. Outside, the beasts, descendants of Fenrir, lurked, turning any adventurer into their next prey. From the heights of Asgard, the Aesir deities, with their watchful eyes, recognized these signs. It was the prelude to Ragnarok, the final battle that would decide the fate of gods and men. The age of confrontation between light and darkness, between order and chaos, was about to begin. After an era of endless winters, disorder reigned over the world of humans. Very few managed to survive the violent turmoil that was unleashed. The signs heralding the onset of Ragnarok were already evident. 2 wolves, claiming to be descendants of Fenrir, took to the skies in search of the sun and the moon. Hati went after the moon and Skoll after the sun. The entities that had been the 2 luminaries for eons managed to flee from these hunters, but their luck would not last forever. Finally, the wolves gave chase to their target and gobbled them up. With the absence of the sun and moon, gloom covered the earth, foreshadowing the sunset. Powerful earthquakes shook Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree. The ground split and mountains crumbled. The stone that imprisoned the imposing wolf Fenrir broke, freeing him to unleash his fury. Jormungandr, the immense sea serpent, churned the depths, causing gigantic waves. These tidal waves swept away the few coastal cities that were still standing. The colossal reptile exuded a deadly venom, bringing death to everything from the tiniest sea creature to the majestic whales. Loki, who had been imprisoned and subjected to insufferable torments, managed to free himself and his offspring Fenrir. The only thing he longed for was the annihilation of the gods of Asgard. Loki, the deceitful god, descended to Helheim, the abode of the souls that met a dishonorable end. His daughter, Hela, ruled that shadowy realm, offering leadership of an army of lost souls to her father. This assemblage consisted of those whose end was unworthy, and now seek the glory that eluded them in life. Nidhogg, the dragon that chews the roots of the cosmic tree, opened a passage for this legion of souls to advance into the land of the living. The sign of their advance was enormous flares. Surtur, the dark entity, unleashed the giants of the scorching lands, and the colossal being reduced everything in his path to ashes with his flaming weapon. On the other hand, the frost giants of Jotunheim set sail for Vigrid, the place chosen for the confrontation between the divinities and the forces of disorder. Heimdall, the watcher of the gods, was certain Ragnarok had begun. Firmly, he blew the horn of Gjallarhorn, whose echo resounded throughout the cosmos. It was the sign they all feared: the twilight of the gods, the Aesir, was at hand. A titanic confrontation was at hand. The resounding call of Heimdall warned of the impending confrontation. Under Loki's guidance, the forces of disorder were eager to dethrone the Aesir gods and would spare no resources to achieve it. The gods of Asgard were aware of the coming confrontation and had been preparing for this crucial moment for ages. The gates of Valhalla unfolded, and from within them emerged thousands of warriors ready to join Odin's vast army. In the army were brave warriors who, though they lived, died with honor in battle. The Valkyries transported them to the Hall of Valhalla, where they awaited the opportunity to prove their bravery alongside the gods during Ragnarok. Every god who could hold a weapon joined these fighters. Muspelheim's mighty army of giants attempted to breach Asgard's defenses. At that moment, the Bifrost Bridge collapsed, and numerous warriors fell into the river's currents. The spirit of the Asgardians grew stronger as they watched the giants struggle against the current. But they knew that their true calling was not to hide behind fortified walls, but to face their adversaries with honor on clear ground. Odin, on the back of his majestic eight-legged steed, issued the call to battle. The divine defenders advanced with momentum against their opponents, and, as they collided, the force released shook Yggdrasil itself, the tree that connects the worlds. Thor, the supreme defender of the gods, made his mark by defeating countless giants with his mighty hammer. The Ice Titans, under the command of Thrym, faced Odin's legions with unmatched bravery. Loki, for his part, led the hosts of Hell, full of souls that did not meet a worthy end. Freyr, the god Vanir, rode his shining boar, joining forces with those of Asgard. Boldly, he challenged Surtur, the imposing chief of the fire giants of Muspelheim. Despite Freyr's titanic effort, Surtur defeated him with his fiery sword. In his last moments, Freyr regretted having given his mystical weapon to Skirnir, thinking that, with it, destiny could have changed. He was the first to succumb among the gods, and many followed him. Tyr, the god who gave his hand to imprison the wolf Fenrir, met his end when facing Garm, the wolf guardian of the realm of the dead. However, before falling, Tyr plunged his sword into the chest of the ferocious wolf. The ground rumbled as Jormungandr, the snake that encircles the world, made his appearance. From his mouth, he released a lethal gas that devastated many of the divine defenders. Thor, upon catching a glimpse of the serpent, was filled with courage, eager for the ultimate confrontation with his eternal adversary. Their confrontation was legendary. The vast serpent tried to devour the Asgardian protector, but Thor resisted and confronted it with imposing thrusts of his hammer. In the end, with a decisive blow, Thor managed to defeat Jormungandr, causing everyone in Asgard to celebrate. But in a tragic twist, the force of his impact released the venom from within the serpent, enveloping Thor in a deadly mist. The thunder god succumbed to the poison, and without his main defender, the struggle for Asgard against chaos intensified for the remaining gods. Fenrir, the colossal wolf descendant of Loki, consumed those who resisted him, but he longed to face Odin, his supreme adversary. Odin, the most powerful god of Asgard, was aware that it was his destiny to face this formidable wolf. Despite his bravery, Odin did not manage to survive the confrontation. With his huge mouth, Fenrir engulfed the leader of the gods, showing his contempt for these divine beings after his victory over the wisest. This action ignited the wrath of Vidar, son of Odin. Moved by a deep anger, Vidar confronted Fenrir. Fixing his feet on the wolf's tongue and using his powerful arms to press his teeth, he managed to fracture Fenrir's jaw, ending his life. Despite the demise of his offspring, Loki watched the destruction with complacency, witnessing the successive fall of the gods. Heimdall, the custodian of the Rainbow Bridge, fought his way through the hordes of the dead led by Loki. The contest between Heimdall and Loki unfolded with such agility that it resembled a lethal dance. Both clashed fiercely, and in the end, either emerged victorious. Both perished. The giant Surtur, with his flaming sword, set the world ablaze. The blazing flames devoured everything, and soon Asgard was reduced to ashes. The seas rose, flooding the land and leaving it desolate. The time of the Aesir gods was over. However, after the devastation, the waters receded and vegetation began to emerge again. A renewed sun would illuminate the world, dispelling the prevailing gloom. Although the Yggdrasil tree succumbed to the calamities of Ragnarok, it held a mystery within. The gods sheltered two mortals to ensure human survival after the events of Ragnarok. These beings, called life and desire to exist, with their love, would guarantee the rebirth of the world. Although Asgard was no more, Yggdrasil would emerge as the successor realm. 6 divinities would have a prominent role in Yggdrasil, the descendants of Odin, Vidar, who defeated Fenrir, and his brother Vali. On the other hand, Thor's offspring, Magnin and Modi, will carry the hammer of the god of storms and will protect this new territory, as well as the subway world. Baldur, the most beloved of the gods, along with HR, will return from the dead to fill the remaining positions. There, they will honor ancient practices, reflect on the future, and strive not to relapse into the failures of old. The gods have rediscovered the golden pieces for their game, and like their predecessors, they have begun a renewed game. A new cycle is about to begin.